my lovely.
Hi.
Welcome to America's Got Talent. How are you?
A little bit nervous.
That's okay to be nervous. That's totally understandable.
When 13-year-old Courtney Hadwin shuffled nervously onto the America's Got Talent stage in 2018, nobody could have predicted what happened next. The transformation that followed became one of the most viral moments in talent show history. Her audition video exploding to over 300 million views worldwide. But what the cameras didn't show was the painful struggle that came after the applause faded, the record deal that collapsed, and the 7-year journey through an unforgiving music industry that tried to mold her into something she wasn't. In 2025, Courtney finally releases the music she was meant to make all along, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary talents have to fight the hardest for their voices to be heard. Courtney Hadwin was always different. Growing up in the small town of Hesleden in County Durham, England, she was painfully shy, so withdrawn that her grandfather revealed she had sung in her sleep since childhood. This wasn't an act for the cameras. Teachers, family, and friends all described a girl who struggled to speak to people, who found the simplest social interactions overwhelming. Yet when music played, something inexplicable happened. The quiet girl disappeared, replaced by unstoppable voice channeling the raw energy of rock legends decades before her time, at just 13 years old. With her family's encouragement, and a belief that American audiences might better appreciate her unique vintage sound, Courtney boarded a plane to chase an impossible dream. Join us as we tell you what really happened to Courtney Hadwin from America's Got Talent. The stage at the Dolby Theater feels impossibly vast when you're 13 years old. Courtney stands there in simple clothes, her hands fidgeting nervously, her voice barely above a whisper as host Tyra Banks tries to coax information from her. The audience exchanges uncertain glances. Judge Howie Mandel leans forward with concern. This is a girl who looks terrified, unprepared for the magnitude of what she's attempting. When Howie asks what she'll be performing, Courtney's soft answer is almost inaudible. The band begins the opening notes of Otis Redding's classic Hard to Handle, and for a brief moment, nothing changes. Then the beat drops. What happens next defies explanation. The shy teenager explodes into motion, her entire body convulsing with energy as she unleashes a voice that sounds ripped from a 1960s rock concert. Her raspy, powerful vocals tear through the theater as she stomps across the stage, shaking and gyrating with the unbridled passion of Janis Joplin herself. The audience leaps to their feet within seconds, phones raised, mouths hanging open in disbelief. Howie Mandel's jaw literally drops. Simon Cowell sits frozen, his usual critical expression replaced by pure astonishment. Mel B starts screaming and jumping in her seat. Heidi Klum's hands cover her mouth in shock. Courtney commands that stage like she's been doing it for 50 years, hitting runs and belting high notes that draw audible gasps from the crowd. At one particularly stunning vocal climb, Howie shouts, "Whoa!" his face a portrait of amazement. The transformation is so complete, so absolute, that it feels supernatural. This cannot be the same person who stood there seconds ago barely able to speak. The song builds to its crescendo, and Courtney delivers every ounce of soul she possesses before the music crashes to a halt. The theater erupts in thunderous applause. All 4 judges rise to their feet instantly, the standing ovation spreading through every corner of the venue. Simon Cowell speaks first, his voice filled with genuine emotion as he declares that was an audition he will never forget. Mel B is practically vibrating with excitement, praising the incredible contrast between Courtney's speaking voice and that phenomenal performance. Heidi calls it absolutely amazing, still processing what she just witnessed. Then Howie Mandel takes the microphone, and the room goes quiet. He tells Courtney she doesn't belong in this era, that she's from a completely different time. He shares a story about Janis Joplin being discovered and signed to a record deal seemingly out of nowhere, and while he can't offer Courtney a record deal, he can do something else. His hand hovers over the golden buzzer. The audience starts screaming before he even touches it. Golden confetti explodes from the ceiling as Courtney collapses in shock, tears streaming down her face as her family rushes the stage to embrace her. Within hours, the video begins its meteoric climb toward viral immortality. But the journey was far from over. What America's Got Talent didn't tell its viewers was that Courtney had already experienced the crushing disappointment of elimination before. Just 1 year earlier, she had competed on The Voice Kids UK, making it to the finals before being sent home. For a girl who already struggled with confidence, that rejection cut deep. Then came the backlash. As her act audition spread across the internet like wildfire, online sleuths discovered her previous television appearance, and the accusations began pouring in. Critics claimed the whole thing was staged, that her shyness was manufactured. That act had deliberately hidden her prior experience to create a false narrative. Comment sections filled with angry viewers feeling deceived, demanding to know why the show hadn't disclosed her background. The controversy threatened to overshadow everything Courtney had accomplished. Her family, teachers, and childhood friends came forward in her defense, posting testimonials about her genuine shyness throughout her entire life. They explained that performing didn't cure her social anxiety. It simply gave her an outlet, a way to express what she couldn't communicate in normal conversation. The debate raged on, but Courtney had no choice except to push forward. By the time she stepped onto the stage for the AGT quarterfinals on August 14th, host Tyra Banks announced that her audition video had been viewed over 200 million times. The pressure to deliver something equally spectacular was suffocating. The doubts crept in during quiet moments. What if the first performance was a fluke? What if she couldn't recreate that magic? What if everyone realized she didn't belong here? For the quarterfinals, she chose James Brown's Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, another vintage soul classic that demanded every ounce of energy she possessed. The semifinals brought Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf, and for the finals, she tackled Tina Turner's epic River Deep Mountain High. Each performance showcased her remarkable range and the undeniable stage presence. But something else was happening behind the scenes. At just 14 years old, Courtney was being pulled in directions she didn't fully understand, surrounded by industry professionals with their own visions for her future. The machine was already trying to shape her into something more commercially palatable, and she could feel herself losing grip on the very authenticity that made her special. It was during the finals that Courtney Hadwin truly silenced whatever critics remained, standing on that stage for what could be her last act performance. She poured everything into River Deep Mountain High, her voice soaring through Tina Turner's powerful anthem with a maturity that belied her age. The performance was electrifying, her movements sharp and deliberate, her vocals hitting every emotional beat with precision. The audience gave her yet another standing ovation, thousands of people on their feet screaming her name. Simon Cowell stood immediately, visibly moved as he praised her extraordinary talent. Howie Mandel predicted she would have an incredible career ahead of her. Mel B and Heidi both gushed about her unique ability to transport audiences to another era. Social media exploded once again, Twitter filled with predictions that Courtney would win the entire competition, with fans posting reaction videos of themselves crying during her performance. Instagram comments flooded in calling it the best performance of the season, possibly the best in act history. YouTube channels dedicated entire videos to analyzing her technique, comparing her favorably to the legend she channeled. The music industry was watching, contracts were being drafted, and everyone wanted a piece of the 13-year-old phenomenon from England. When the results show aired on September 19, 2018, Courtney joined the other finalists on stage for one final performance, singing Piece of My Heart with rock band The Struts. The energy was electric, the chemistry undeniable. Then came the announcement everyone was waiting for. Despite the viral fame, despite the hundreds of millions of views, despite the overwhelming support from judges and fans alike, Courtney Hadwin placed 6th in the competition. 6th. The shock rippled through her fan base. How could someone with that much talent, that much viral success, not even crack the top 3? But this is the brutal reality of talent competitions. Popularity doesn't always translate to votes, and sometimes the most unique voices are too different for mainstream audiences to fully embrace. Yet even in defeat, Courtney's star continued to rise. She performed 5 live shows in Las Vegas with winner Shin Lim at the Paris Hotel and Casino that November, proving that finishing 6th didn't diminish her appeal. Then in December 2018 came the news everyone expected. Simon Cowell's Psycho Music and Arista Records signed Courtney to a record deal. The dream was coming true. Or so it seemed. In January 2019, Courtney returned to the AGT stage for America's Got Talent, The Champions, a spin-off featuring the best acts from AGT franchises around the world. She performed her first original song, Pretty Little Thing, a track that showcased her songwriting potential. The superfans voted and Courtney advanced to the second episode, giving her another chance to prove herself worthy of redemption. For her second Champions performance, she gave everything she had, that familiar rock star energy exploding across the stage. But when the votes were counted, the superfans chose opera rock singer Christina Ramos instead. Courtney's Champions journey ended in elimination once again. She wouldn't make the final, wouldn't get that last shot at glory. The pattern was becoming painful. Extraordinary talent, viral fame, and then elimination. By October 2019, Courtney released an EP called The Cover Sessions, featuring her takes on songs by Harry Styles, Lil Nas X, the Jonas Brothers, and others. The vocals were stunning, her interpretations fresh and passionate, but something felt missing. These weren't her stories, her experiences, her truth. Industry executives were telling a 14-year-old girl what to record, how to sound, what her image should be. She was being packaged, polished, pushed toward mainstream pop radio when her soul craved raw rock and roll. The creative friction grew unbearable. Then in 2020, Psycho Records shut down operations completely. Courtney's record deal evaporated, leaving her without a label, without industry backing, without the machine she thought she needed. For many artists, this would have been the end. But for Courtney Hadwin, it was a liberation she didn't know she desperately needed. The years that followed were quiet by comparison to her viral explosion. She stepped back from the spotlight, spent time growing up, experiencing life beyond talent shows and record label boardrooms. She needed to become a person with stories worth telling before she could write songs that mattered. In 2023 and 2024, she began releasing singles independently. Breakable, Call Me Back, You Only Love Me When I Lie, and DNA. These weren't covers. These were Courtney's words, her melodies, her authentic voice finally unleashed without corporate interference. Each release showed growth, confidence, and an artist discovering exactly who she was meant to be. She found the perfect creative partner in Grammy-winning producer Kevin Bowe, someone who understood her vision and helped her craft it without trying to change her essence. Together, they worked on what would become Courtney's debut album, a project she had unknowingly been creating since she was 16. In February 2025, she released Spellbound, a pop-punk anthem that wasn't even supposed to make the album. Written during her last few days in the studio about a toxic situationship she was navigating, the song captured a wilder, more vulnerable side of Courtney that fans had never heard before. The response was immediate and powerful. This was the Courtney people had been waiting for, raw and real and unapologetically herself. On September 12, 2025, Courtney Hadwin released Little Miss Jagged, her long-awaited debut album. 14 tracks spanning soul, rock, funk, punk, and R&B, refusing to be boxed into any single genre. Songs like Dirty and You Only Love Me, When I Lie, showcase her powerhouse vocals and emotional depth. NA brings high-energy funk and explosive shouting that matches the music's chaotic party feel. Die and Stay Pretty tells the heartbreaking story of watching a close friend spiral into substance abuse. Timeless was inspired by Teddy Swims and became her favorite song to sing live. Every track is personal, vulnerable, real. In interviews, Courtney admitted she felt scared releasing such intimate material, essentially handing the world her personal diary. But that vulnerability is precisely what makes the album resonate. The critical reception has been enthusiastic, with reviewers praising her refusal to conform to industry standards and her commitment to authentic self-expression. Fans who discovered her 7 years ago on ACT are thrilled to finally hear original music that captures why they fell in love with her in the first place. Her Instagram following has grown to over 1 million people, a community that's followed every step of her journey. Now 21 years old, Courtney announced a UK tour beginning in February 2026, bringing Little Miss Jagged to life on stages across Glasgow, Newcastle, Sheffield, London, Manchester, Bristol, and Birmingham. She promises audiences aren't ready for the energy she's bringing, emphasizing that she's not just a singer but an entertainer who wants people dancing and feeling her presence. Looking back at that nervous 13-year-old who shuffled onto the AGT stage, it's remarkable how much Courtney Hadwin has grown while somehow staying exactly the same. She's still that shy girl from Heselden who struggles with social anxiety. She still transforms into a completely different person the moment music plays. But now she's also an independent artist who fought for her right to make music on her own terms, who walked away from the traditional path and carved out something authentic instead. She's working with her band, recording live performance videos, and planning tours that will take her around the world. Her debut album proved she never needed the record label executives in suits telling her what to do. She just needed time to live, to experience heartbreak and love and growth, so she'd have something real to sing about. Courtney Hadwin's journey proves that viral fame is just the beginning, never the destination. Talent combined with determination and authenticity can overcome industry rejection, collapsed record deals, and the pressure to become someone you're not. That quiet girl who sang in her sleep grew into an artist who refuses to let anyone silence her unique voice. She embraced her jagged edges instead of smoothing them away, and the result is music that feels alive and honest in ways manufactured pop could never achieve. What do you think about Courtney's incredible journey from viral sensation to independent artist? Let us know in the comments below. Which talent show contestant should we cover next? Drop your suggestions in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another inspiring story like this one. As for Courtney Hadwin, her story is far from over. With a critically acclaimed debut album, a devoted fan base, and tours on the horizon, she's just getting started. The world tried to tell her who to be, but she chose to be herself instead. And that decision might just make her a legend.